Good morning and welcome to another episode of Josh and Pat. I'm Joshua Klein, joined by Patrick Cassett, and yesterday we got to watch pick 262, aka Mr. Irrelevant, aka Brock Purdy, absolutely destroy the Miami Dolphins. And listen, Dolphins have to figure things out too. It needs to play better, but I don't think that's the story today. I think the story is a guy who was written off by everyone, coming in, and when the moment mattered the most, getting the job done. Thoughts and prayers go out to Jimmy G, who had potentially one of the most unlucky seasons of any quarterback ever. First, he was completely disrespected by the 49ers, forced to practice on practice field C, while his replacement, Trey Lance, who hadn't played much in college, wasn't figuring out the NFL. Not saying he can't figure out the NFL, but he wasn't playing a super great brand of football. And then when Trey Lance gets hurt, they say, hey, Jimmy, we miss you. We love you. Come back in. Lead us to the promised land. And he does. He comes in and he does what he has to do. And now he gets hurt. And now we're wondering, is Brock Purdy going to be able to fill Jimmy Garoppolo's shoes and lead this team who is fully loaded and ready to go deep into the playoffs? We'll see. But this is also a chance where maybe it doesn't matter who's playing quarterback of this team. Maybe, I don't know. Patrick Cassett, tell us what we need to know about this guy, Brock Purdy. And is he potentially going to be the greatest quarterback of all time? Patrick Cassett, tell me, what do we know about this guy?
Josh, this guy's a proven winner. We're talking about a 2015 Perry High School wiffle ball champion.
No kidding.
We're talking about a multi-sport athlete, Mr. Irrelevant. This guy's a champion. He's a proven winner.
Listen, Patrick, I think that Brock he played well. Now, there is a chance that the quarterback position at the 49ers is the first quarterback position in the NFL that's actually expendable. Like, it doesn't really matter, who you actually are playing in that position. It's kind of like every other team's running back, where if you have a good offensive line, you can plug a lot of dudes in there who will have success. That's potentially what's happening in the 49ers right now. It's kind of like, being a wide receiver on the Broncos. It doesn't really matter who you are. Your output's potentially going to be the same. But I don't want to believe that's what we have here. I want to believe that we have somebody special and that for the first time ever, a 262 pick is getting a chance. And listen, if Tom Brady was 199 and he gets 7 Super Bowls, I can't even imagine what 262 gets you. I can't even imagine that, Patrick.
Look, Josh, this is a guy that got recruited to go to Alabama, chose to go to Iowa State, started up at Perry High School. It's a new program they had, led them deep into the playoffs twice, wasn't a state champion in the playoffs there, ran into a juggernaut, but he goes to Iowa State. He's good at Iowa State. This Brock Purdy guy won the third QB job over Nate Sudfeld in the preseason for the 49ers. Look, Brock Purdy, he could be the future for the 49ers now.
And listen, if you're Trey Lance right now, you are sweating on the sidelines because Trey Lance came in and it was supposed to be his team. And then next thing you know, it wasn't his team. And now it's Garoppolo's team. And the conversation quickly became, okay, well, maybe Trey Lance is still a long-term future. But right now, I think we jumped the gun a little bit. I think, Jimmy Garoppolo is the guy still. And now Trey Lance is potentially an afterthought. If Brock Purdy comes in and does anything good remotely, 49ers might think, hey, why don't we roll with the hot hand? Why don't we keep going with Brock and let him develop into a star quarterback? I'm not saying it's going to happen, Patrick, but I think it's something that we got to keep an eye out for. But a quarterback who kind of had a similar trajectory as Brock. If you talked to me last week, you said Brock and this quarterback, if I had known about Brock, I would have said, hey, same dude. Now, today, we're not saying that because Mike White, the Mike White era in New York is potentially over. And I want to say, rest in peace to the Mike White bandwagon.
Yes,
You had a great
rest
run.
in peace. It's a 23.1 QBR rating against the Minnesota Vikings. The era's over. Clap it up for Mike White.
Yeah, listen, Mike White is a guy who came in and all he had to do to succeed, and I still believe that he's going to be the guy because Mike White has the longest leash of any single person in the NFL. All he has to do is handle the situation 0.0001% better than Zach Wilson handled it, and he's still probably going to be the guy. Now, Joe Flacco's a different conversation, but Mike White, all he had to do, and all he still has to do is literally just do the exact opposite of what Zach Wilson does, and he should be fine. And I think that's freeing. And if you really think about it, Zach Wilson's a lot more like Kanye West than we give him credit for. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. But what I am gonna say is, Jets fans, I feel bad because you came in and you know everyone was wearing the Mike White shirts, everyone was riding the hype of Mike White, and now you're still riding with Mike White because it's like, who else do you have? But it is kind of unfortunate that Mike White is your best option when your team could be very good if you just had a person who could consistently play quarterback at a high level.
And here's the thing, Josh, we talk about, look, you want to buy low, sell high. Right now, the stock for Mike White, very low. What we're telling you here is buy it, hammer it, because he's got the longest leash. He's got the longest leash.
Yeah,
Josh.
You're right. Listen, he could do anything. Mike White is going to be the quarterback of this team for time to come, unless Joe Flacco puts together a heck of a week in practice, and there's a chance that he could. We all know Joe Flacco has a chance.
Josh.
When you got Super Bowl MVP on the team, anything can happen. But I truly do believe that Mike White has a very long leash. He can do no wrong. They're not putting Zach Wilson back out there because Zach Wilson, let's be real, I mean, he's not putting up numbers like Mike White did yesterday. Mike White had a pretty bad game. He threw an interception that pretty much sealed the game for the Jets.
But Josh, Zach Wilson had one less attempt throwing the ball than Garrett Wilson yesterday.
He did, and that says a lot about, I think, the future of the Jets franchise. Now, we're not really gonna know what happens with Zach Wilson, and I guess that's a decision that Jets are gonna have to make. And I have no idea. It feels like they could never play him at quarterback again because I think he completely lost the locker room. But who knows? You know, we love a good redeemer story out here. One team that should be concerned, and I don't think it's new, is the Colts, who absolutely got clobbered last night against the Cowboys. But I don't think the story is how bad the Colts got beat, because I think we all expected the Colts to do things that the Colts did. I mean, Matt Ryan, he came off the bench feeling ready to throw an interception pretty much every single play, it seemed like. And at one point, this game was very close. When you're talking about a 21-19 game, Colts score a touchdown. They're like, hey, we're knocking on the door. We're going to get the job done here. And if you get a 2-point conversion, we're talking about a tied game going into the fourth quarter. You're still only down a couple points. You get the interception, and then the next thing you know, something happened. And if you look, 35 points in the fourth quarter. I mean, what are we even doing here? That was awful. That was awful.
Hey.
Every single person watching that game last night was just like, what was that? Was that even a football game?
I just want to give a shout out Jeff Saturday, all class there at the end. Victory formation down 1,000,000 points.
Yeah.
He decides to kneel it out. I mean, that's
because that wasn't, and by the way, that wasn't a saying, hey, this is a victory for this game. This is like hey, this is a mental victory, because you know what they say, there's no such thing as losses, because you either win or you learn. And he was like, we won tonight because we learned that if you want to win a game, don't throw a billion interceptions, turn the ball over, fumble it, and let the team score 35 points in the fourth quarter when you're only down 2.
Think about how electric it was for Matt Ryan, though, when Jeff Saturday took over. They get the first win with him, and he's thinking, man, I got my job back.
Revived.
I'm back. We're going on a run.
Yeah, Jeff Saturday. I'm rooting for Jeff. Listen, I'm rooting for you, Jeff. I really am. It's going to be very difficult for me to potentially see you coaching next year. but I'm rooting for you. I really am. Um, Yesterday, there was a situation that happened, Patrick, where two teams who were both rooting for their own team ended up getting the same outcome. And it was a rare instance where we have a tie, and we're going to have to talk about it. But everyone's going to say a lot of things about this game, and I'm going to be brief. We spent the entire World Cup as a country bashing soccer for ties. Every football fan rallied behind one fact that what are we doing having a sport where a tie is the most likely outcome? Nobody wants that. That's not entertainment. And we spent the time rallying. And then the first week after the World Cup ends, our World Cup ends.
Hey, we don't care anymore. We're done.
We're done. We put up this performance. We put out this product as football. What are we doing? Giants, you should be ashamed. Commanders, you should be ashamed. Left hand down.
No, Josh, no. Taylor Heinicke, he leads the game-tying drive in the fourth quarter. This is what you get. You get a half a win and a half a loss because of Taylor Heinicke. Josh, a tie is just as good as a tie because it's a half a win, half a loss. Really, the game didn't even happen. Think of it that way.
Patrick, I always heard that tying's like kissing your sister. We all have. Nobody wins. And I know that's a very weird thing to hear, a weird thing to say, but I think it does actually express how just gross a tie is. As somebody who lives my life in a way where every single thing I do is either going to be a slam dunk or is going to be me literally sitting underneath the basket getting dunked on, I think it is horrendous. And
Josh, I would rather take a loss.
Better.
I would rather take a loss than have a tie.
You just said that. You just made a tie seem like the greatest thing ever, though, Patrick. I don't know. Are you flip-flopping here?
I am flip-flopping because Taylor Heinicke's the greatest thing ever. So I'm going to defend my guy. But a tie is terrible.
Tie's terrible. Terrible for the brand. And I guess we'll see what happens when they play each other in a couple of weeks here. And, yesterday, a game that kind of felt like a tie, Patrick, because a team won, but it really didn't feel like a win. It kind of felt like a little bit like a loss.
Yeah, the definition of ugly, too.
Was the Ravens-Broncos game. Now, listen, Patrick, I was at this game, and I came in with high expectations. I said, listen, our team was horrendous against the Jaguars, and surely that cannot be the new normal. Surely we're going to have figured things out over this week. And we came out, and it was the most cliche Broncos game of all time. And to be fair, if I'm a Broncos fan, you have to feel so much worse about yourself than I feel about myself right now, because that's every single week for you. But it's starting to become the new standard for the Ravens. And I don't know why the Ravens, haven't been able to do anything. I saw somebody on Twitter say it best. Greg Roman is I'm going to read it out, a domestic terrorist holding Lamar Jackson hostage. And I agree. Patrick, if I was in a room with Greg Roman, Russell Wilson, and I had a gun with 2 bullets, I would shoot myself so I never would have to watch that again. It was the most boring brand of football of all time. I take it back. I would take the tie over this. Obviously,
really?
As a Ravens fan, I take the win. I'm excited about the win, but watching that game, miserable, Patrick. And I just don't understand why the Ravens are completely incompetent on offense. I don't know. We can't do anything. Literally can't run the ball. And hey, I don't think it's Huntley's fault, because I don't think Huntley played any worse than Lamar would have played. So what's going on, Patrick?
Yeah, the Ravens have an issue. Ravens fans want to sit here and say they're going to be Super Bowl contenders. Not like this. Not like this. Greg Roman, I think his days are numbered in Baltimore. This is what's going to happen. This was what should happen. It should come out on Tuesday that he is resigning from being the offensive coordinator because he's taking the job as the Stanford head coach. And then that way you don't even have to fire the guy.
Oh, that would be perfect. It's, because I don't want to see this guy. Well, actually, I kind of do want to see him get fired a little bit. But I do agree that would be the best outcome. And so we'll see what happens. I just can't do it anymore, Patrick. I can't watch any more of this miserable football. I really can't, man.
We
It's
deserve better. We deserve better. We just sucked up watching the World Cup for 3 weeks. Okay,
I can't
because
do
it's over
it.
now. We don't care.
I can't do it,
And
Patrick.
now we have to watch bad American football.
Yeah. It's not good, Patrick. It's not. I wish I just wish we could relive 2019 again. It'd be
That was fun.
It was a great time. We threw so many touchdowns. Oh my gosh.
Ran for so many touchdowns.
Oh, so good, Patrick.
It was like really fun until Titans came to town, though.
Yeah. Well, I'm not saying the Ravens season is over, but I just saw the Bengals beat the Chiefs, and they didn't even look overly dominant. They never so it's going to be potentially really rough, few weeks for the Ravens here. But hey, it was a good season, Patrick.
Hey, congrats, 8-4, pretty much exactly what you had last season, and then you missed the playoffs. So
Yep.
let's run it back.
Run it back. Patrick, yesterday I saw a photo, and I did a double take on it. I didn't think it was real at first. And I think as journalists, as aspiring journalists, it is important for us to talk about this because I don't think enough shows are going to speak on the subject matter today. Mark Davis is, wrong picture.
Boom. Boom.
Boom.
Nope.
No, boom. Mark Davis with an absolute smoke show on the sidelines. And I'll tell you what, I have a lot of questions. Now, everyone's assuming they're in a relationship. And I just want to say, I don't think it's fair to us to assume that they're dating. Obviously, could be his niece, or a goddaughter. Could be the goddaughter. We can't just jump in Mark Davis is with 22 to 33-year-old.
That's a pretty wide age gap there.
Well, listen, Mark Davis, he's got money. You're saying if a 33-year-old, if she wants to look 22, I feel like you can make that happen with Mark Davis money.
Look, Mark Davis, he lives the absolute life for an owner. Okay, he flaunts it. He goes, "Yeah, I own the Las Vegas Raiders.
If he had a little bit more money, he could probably get rid of his crappy head coach. But so you probably should be spending a little bit more time investing. To be honest with you,
yeah, because he's not that rich. He can't even fire his head coach because he doesn't have enough money.
But also, still feels like he's kind of winning right now.
He's 100% winning, Josh. Josh, when you're caught on TV, I don't know if he knows the director. I don't know if he knows the producer for CBS. But for the fact that they give him this prop, look, Mark Davis is a happy man Monday morning in Las Vegas. You know what? While we're recording this, he's probably still up in Las Vegas having a good time.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the casinos, it never sleeps. He's probably at the blackjack table. Hit. Stat, up, double and down. Or he could be playing some roulette. Maybe he's at the poker. Maybe he's a poker guy.
He does look like a poker guy, Josh.
I mean, that face right there. You're not reading anything off that face.
No.
I will say, if you're going to be walking around with smoke shows, you could try 5% more to present yourself better. But you could say that it honestly is more reflects that he doesn't have to try at all. And
Josh, I would argue his little mock turtleneck was him trying today.
It is a little bit of mock turtleneck, but I'm just saying, I mean, you can get a haircut, dude.
Well, you're saying you don't like the bowl cut?
I'm just saying that I get it hides the hairline, but we can figure something out here. I'd argue that sometimes being bald is better than certain haircuts. That's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. And maybe when I get older, I'll come to appreciate the little hair that I have. And I'll say, hey, I'm gonna keep this sucker no matter how awkward it looks. I don't know if this is it, Patrick. And you know what else I don't know is it? I'm pull it up right here.
Boom, pull it up, Josh.
The college football playoff. Number 1, Georgia. We all kind of expected this.
Mhm.
Number 2, Michigan. If they won, they're going to be number 2. They won, they're number 2. Number 3, TCU. What? Number 4, Ohio State. Dear committee members,
Let's hear it, Josh.
it is absolutely disgusting, disgraceful, and an embarrassment to the college football brand that we are letting a school like TCU into the college playoffs when Alabama was sitting right there ready to go in. Because right now, I would argue that if you played Georgia versus Alabama, Alabama could win. If you play TCU against any of these schools, they're going to get destroyed. What is this conversation? Alabama deserves to be in the Final Four. Now, all these people on the internet are going to say that I'm crazy. Everyone's saying that the committee got it right. And I don't understand that. I don't understand it at all. Because a horned frog doesn't exist. It's not real. You can't just make up something and say it's a mascot. It's not. It's not. Why don't you be the unicorns while you're at it? Alabama has a guy who is a Heisman winner. Heisman winners figure things out in big moments. Yeah, sure, you lose a tough game to LSU, who played their hearts out. I mean, they went crazy. And you lose to Tennessee, but guess what? If Tennessee has Hooker all year, they're in the college playoffs.
No.
So, yeah.
Hooker tears his ACL when they're down 20 in South Carolina.
No, they would have found a way, because you know what? Hooker is that guy. The rankings would be right now: Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Tennessee 3, Alabama 4. That could have happened. But also, I'd argue right now it should be Georgia 1, Michigan 2, Ohio State 3, Alabama 4. TCU does not deserve to be there. If you can't even win your championship game,
well, Josh, imagine not playing. Imagine not playing your championship game.
Still didn't lose it, though. Still didn't lose it.
That's a fair point. Look, Alabama brings name recognition. They bring their red Crimson Tide uniform. Also, you go on this whole rant about horned frogs. What's a Crimson Tide? They have their mascot's an elephant.
No, the thing is, they are the Crimson Tide. That's what you don't get, Patrick. They are the Crimson Tide. Their mascot is themselves.
An elephant?
Themselves. They are Crimson Tide. The elephant is just to show they're conservative or something. You know, they are the Crimson Tide.
Well, Alabama can have fun in the Sugar Bowl. I will say this. The playoff system's flawed. Georgia having to play Ohio State is a much worse matchup than having to play TCU, which that I will agree with you.
It's all rigged. They just won it in Michigan, Ohio State. It's all they wanted, Patrick.
Yeah, I think you're right, Josh.
What's the mindset in Georgia right now? Are we thinking Ohio State is, piece of cake? Because if you think about it, Ohio State loses to Michigan, almost lost to Maryland.
I will say that, well, Maryland's a juggernaut, Josh. Let's put some respect. I mean, they're going to the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Okay, that's a huge deal.
That's
huge.
A fair point. And Charlotte,
okay, it's like college football playoff, Peach Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Duke's Mayo, and then like the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
So
that's I have heard that.
Mm-hmm. So here's the thing about the vibe down here in Georgia. Georgia fans, they're going to say, we're so much better than Ohio State. Okay, yeah, we get it. We're number one, okay?
Yeah.
Thing is, Ohio State has really, really good wide receivers. And the one flaw that I see on Georgia's defense is their secondary play. So that's a bad matchup there. That being said, I don't think Ohio State's good enough to beat Georgia, but I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park. It's been a party here in Athens for literally the last year. They
Yeah.
haven't lost a game in over a year.
Yeah.
So the party's been on. I mean, vibes are high here in Athens, but don't overlook Ohio State. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, that's good to know. You're gonna have to keep us updated on all things Georgia as they head in to
Go Dogs.
potentially, I mean, back-to-back championships here. I don't know. Wait, how about this? If TCU, I'm going to make a statement right now. If TCU finds a way to win a national championship here, I mean, I'll shave my head. I'll do something. We'll find something because TCU being here, it's the fact that it's not even the fact that they are in it. It's almost the fact that they're 3 and not like. Do you think TCU's better than Ohio State? Absolutely not. It's all rigged. They just won at Ohio State, Michigan, and so yeah, it's gonna be
Okay, Josh.
And the first year, again, by the way, this is the first year I'm actually invested in college football, and this is what they do to me.
So TCU, if they win, I will personally shave your head.
Yeah, they win a national championship. I'm not even remotely concerned, Patrick. Like I wish I was. I'm not at all. Anyway, guys, that is the show. Josh and Pat, make sure you guys subscribe. If you're listening, thank you so much for listening. Yeah, I mean, we're launching a website soon. Gonna have some exclusive content over there. And then I guess I'll see you Thursday for Thursday's episode of Picks and Pancakes. Patrick, you have a wonderful day.
Yes. Good morning, beautiful world.